And Larry, right now on the Newsmaker hotline, we have KT McFarland, Fox News national security analyst, host of FoxNews.com's DEFCON 3 show, which can be seen at 1 p.m. on Wednesdays at live.foxnews.com. KT, how are you? Good to have you with us this morning.
Good morning.
We got so much going on with North Korea. I mean, the United States is sending F-22s and B-2s for war games, and we're sending all manner of ships and guided missile cruisers. And we now hear that the Secretary of State, John Kerry, is going to go to Seoul, South Korea very soon. He's calling the rhetoric that's coming from the North unacceptable. Should we be worried right now?
Yeah, I think we actually probably should. I mean, I'm usually not one to get terribly hysterical about international crises. You know, after 40 years, you see them kind of ebb and flow. And especially with regard to North Korea, you know, you can almost set your iCalendar to auto-renew. Every spring, what do you see? Daylight savings time, cherry blossoms and daffodils, and another North Korean military crisis. And the routine is pretty standard. They threaten a crisis. Everybody says, oh my gosh, we can't have a war on the Korean Peninsula. Everybody rushes to have consultations, and what do the North Koreans get? What they really wanted in the first place, which was to bail them out. They need stocks of food, fuel, and they need to get their people scared again because they're running low on all those. I do think, though, this year could be different, and I think there are three reasons for that. One, all the players in this game are new.
Yep.
You know, the 20-something North Korean leader, Kim Jong-un, his experience with crisis management, I mean, video games. There are new leaders in South Korea, Japan, and China. They've only been in office for a few weeks. They're all thought to be pretty hawkish on defense issues. And there's a new American Secretary of State in Defense. So I think that the whole situation in the Korean Peninsula is at a hair trigger. And a slight miscalculation on anybody's part could lead to a very rapid unraveling.
And that's the thing you got to look out for, is that the intentions are misread, and that there is a slight miscalculation that somehow spirals out of control.
And it would spiral very quickly, because the United States has 30,000 troops and is a tripwire between North and South Korea. And they have kept the peace. You know, the threat of an American retaliation against North Korea has really kept them in the box. You know, you guys want to go after South Korea, you got to get through us first. But now, as the North Koreans are on the verge of nuclear weapons, I think you're seeing a very different behavior. You know, let's face it, no matter what the administration wants to say, North Korea is now, in effect, a nuclear weapons state.
So
they've tested nuclear weapons, both the plutonium and probably highly enriched uranium varieties. Now, I don't think they have missiles capable of fitting a nuclear warhead on them, and I don't think they have missiles capable of reaching the continental United States, but it's only a matter of time. So this guy is as much of a brinksman as he is now. He's only going to get worse, and that's why I think that whatever happens could spiral quickly out of control.
Well, and given that, was it appropriate for the U.S. to send such a strong military presence during South Korean war games activities over the last week? We've sent B-2 stealth bombers, we've sent F-22 stealth jets. We're definitely rising to the rhetoric from the North Koreans. Is that a good thing right now, or is now a time for more gentle diplomacy?
No, I think we've made our point. And we've made our point to a lot of people. We've made it to the South Koreans and the Japanese. We'll be with you. We've made it to the North Koreans. And I think that it's now time to give this guy an out. I don't know quite what it is, but give him a way of backing down without losing face, because we all know that if you're in your late 20s, saving face is a huge thing.
That's right.
And then I think we need to really open a strategic dialogue with the Chinese. Not only over North Korea, but over a whole host of issues. Because China, it's all about China, you know, and we've always looked to them to say, you deal with North Korea, they're your client, you keep them in line. And the Chinese have been unwilling to do that, because they like the fact that there's been a low boil on the Korean Peninsula. It's kept us off balance, the Japanese off balance, the South Koreans off balance, but now that threatens to boil over. And the Chinese mobilizing troops on the North Korean border, that's in part to show their solidarity to North Korea, but it's also in part to make sure that you don't have millions of refugees running over the border into China.
All right, so let's say that, God forbid, something does go awry, there is a miscalculation, things spiral quickly out of control. How will that end up?
Well, not well. At the end of the day, we have missiles, the military equipment to shoot down any missiles they might fire. At the end of the day, we would prevail militarily in defending South Korea. what you would hope is that it doesn't escalate into some kind of a great power war. And maybe, look, is there a silver lining in this? I don't know. Maybe there's a possibility North and South Korea unite. I think it's a really slim possibility, and I think it's one that the Chinese would probably break out in hives over.
Yeah.
I mean, the thought of like the equivalent of a unified Germany on the Korean Peninsula on China's border would make them very nervous. Mao once told my old boss Kissinger, without the lips, the teeth grow cold. And China has always liked buffer states on its periphery. And if all of a sudden on its periphery would be an economically powerful unified Korea, potentially with nuclear weapons, a rearmed Japan, potentially with nuclear weapons, Japan, the now third largest economy in the world, used to be the second, that's got to make China very nervous. So I think that their calculations have probably changed considerably in the last year or two, and they have actually given indications that that is the case.
I mean, without the lips, the teeth grow cold.
I like that.
I like that. I'm going to put that in my repertoire.
I'm going to tweet it now and say that I made it up.
All right,
Mao's
KT.
dead, he can't argue with
Exactly.
Always a pleasure, KT.
Thank you. Bye-bye.